Broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts, the ARC Digital Transformation Viewpoints podcast is the only podcast dedicated to all things related to digital transformation in energy, industrial, and critical infrastructure applications. The podcast is the creation of the ARC Advisory Group Digital Transformation Practice. ARC advises leading companies on technology trends and market dynamics that affect their business. To engage further, please like and share our podcasts or reach out directly on Twitter at ARC_advisory, or please go to the website at www.arcweb.com.
Hello, everyone, and I want to welcome you to our podcast today. The podcast is entitled Empowering Systems Integrator Alliance Partners in a Changing Digital and Sustainable World. My name is Craig Resnick. I'm with the ARC Advisory Group. I want to welcome you all today. We have two special guests. We have Luke Stevenson, who's the Business Operations Vice President of a company called Enterprise Automation, and Avril Zamora, who's a Global Commercial Director of Systems Integrators and Strategic Programs at Schneider Electric. I want to welcome you both, Luke and Avril. It'd be great to have you today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's great. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you so much for being here. And I know I'm speaking to a subject that's certainly near and dear to both of you, which is the role of Systems Integrators Alliance Partners, which have really never been more important or critical than it is today. Systems Integrator Alliance Partners are typically, as you know, on the front line when it comes to deploying and supporting key technologies to better monitor and control operations and protect against downtime, ensuring high productivity and protecting and upskilling personnel, enabling remote workforces. And they're doing all this while leveraging, enhanced cybersecurity architectures. Going forward, however, at a time where the only market certainty is actually uncertainty, it requires a business strategy of leveraging alliance partners that focus on their capability to deploy solutions and software and services that help their customers evolve as they continue to embark on their digital transformation and sustainability journeys to build stronger, more operationally resilient businesses that ensure long-term viability and profitable growth. So I'm going to start off today with Luke. If you could introduce yourself and your role, and then we'll get into some questions. So if you could introduce yourself, Luke, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure, Craig, and thanks again for having me on. This is definitely a topic, like you said, that's near and dear. It's part of our everyday and something that we are really passionate about. So my role is Business Operations Vice President. You could probably say simply it's to do whatever needs to be done to help the company move forward. But with a little bit more definition, my goal is really to lead our team towards areas of growth. So that's both client focused. So where can we be better partners with the right types of clients? Where can we be tighter partners with vendors like Schneider Electric to bring kind of their technologies to market and also help them develop those technologies with more insights, say from the customer's perspective that we're engaged with on a daily basis. And where can our company look at different growth markets and growth technologies as those come out or as those become relevant? So, we started 25 years ago as a basic systems integrator serving the OEM market. And over that 2.5 decades, we've grown to do multi-million-dollar advanced systems that bridge IT and OT quite heavily. So that's kind of what I'm passionate about, is helping the company continue to grow into the future and be well positioned for the best opportunities for our clients and for our staff. So yeah, thanks again for having me.
Well, great to have you, Luke. And Avril, if you could also tell us a little bit about what you do at Schneider Electric in your role.
Sure. Thanks, Greg. So, Avril Zamora, I'm the Global Commercial Director for System Integrators and Strategic Programs at the Schneider Electric. I belong to this division of the company that we call software centric, and I will explain later what does that mean. And basically, my role is to support our alliance program for system integrators at the global level to empower them to be more relevant for our industry and certainly to build the right capabilities to face the future needs and, of course, the current needs for our end markets, for our segments, for the industry.
No, that's great. So certainly a critical role, and I can certainly see how you work close together with Luke and many other companies that obviously are part of the Alliance Partners Systems Integrator program. So, speaking of that, Luke, what do you see as the main challenges that you envision for your kind of upcoming projects? Especially considering the demands that your end user customers are having, and obviously just the trends in industry.
Yeah, this is like we already mentioned, this is a fun environment and market to be in. It's always changing. There's always something to be striving for, and by its nature, it ages itself. So over 10 or 15 years, you kind of find yourself back at the beginning, or in a sense at the beginning, kind of painting the bridge, start to finish again. So I think the biggest challenges, though, that we continue to see in this, may sound simple to a lot of folks or maybe not too novel, but really continues to be not having a great sense for where they currently are. We get brought into a lot of opportunities or clients who are really unaware of what their current infrastructure is and looks like, whether that be a lack of documentation or employee turnover or change. And again, incumbent or tribal knowledge has been lost, and that's now no longer, with the enterprise. So we get brought in a lot of times, and there's just a lack of understanding on where they currently are, what do they have, what might be working and might have a good life left in it, and what doesn't, and what needs to be addressed immediately, and having a roadmap to move forward. So a lot of the, marketing that we see, which is really exciting in a lot of ways, kind of creates this kind of shiny object effect, right? So I get to see, or I go to these conferences, I go to these events, and I hear about these digital transformation technologies, or I hear about these AI or machine learning softwares that, will save me time or money, and all of these things. I think more often than not, they actually can deliver those benefits. I'm not here to say that there's a lot of crying wolf out there, but I think the harder part in folks understanding how to realize those benefits is, how do I get to that destination from where I am, right? None of us would take a road trip or go on or plan a trip without knowing where we're starting from, where we're going, and then having the right tools as necessary to go from that. If we're going on a 10-hour road trip, we're preparing differently than if we're going on a 2-hour drive. So I think that, honestly, it might sound simple, but for us as a systems integrator, where we still see the most kind of demand and challenge is taking these new ideas or these new concepts and then marrying that with where someone actually is based on fact, not where they believe they are or where they'd like to be, but here's where you are today. Here's where you want to be at some point in the future, and maybe a couple steps along that path, and then understanding how those additional pieces can kind of bring in and add value. I think that's probably the simplest version or answer I could give you of what we tend to see a lot over and over again.
Yeah, that's so true, Luke, because at ARC, we're constantly seeing situations. Sometimes I don't like to use the word vaporware, but many times that people come in and they have either these expectations, or through what they may have heard or read about with technology, they have these very, very grandiose expectations, when in reality, what you're looking for is, you're not trying to sell technology, you're trying to solve problems. And you're trying to come up with solutions that enable them to, because their problem isn't we need the latest AI, for example. The problem is,
that's right,
what do we need to do to increase our OEE scores by 2 or 3%, for example, or increase other KPIs, or eliminate unscheduled downtime. So yeah, I think you're exactly spot on, and obviously you can't do that as well if you don't have the support of the leading suppliers such as Schneider Electric. So Averill, what is Schneider Electric doing to support this transformation in industry and really help a lot of these the customers as Luke described?
Sure. Well, Schneider Electric is driving industry transformation through a robust ecosystem of diverse partners. I mean, we are not doing this alone. We collaborate with technology innovators, industry leaders, strategic channels partners, to reshape the industry to cutting-edge solutions. So these partnerships enable us to incorporate advanced technologies such as IoT and edge technologies, and it is just an example, like open automation standards, cloud computer, AI into our offerings and platforms. And the way we are delivering this transformation or this value proposition of Schneider is through our Alliance Partner program. This Alliance Partner program is like a technology and business enabler for them. So they have access, or they gain access to the best-in-class training, technology exploration, and business education. That's also important to understand better the customer needs. So Luke was talking about how to connect these customer needs with technology, to connect that dots. And that is a way we can better optimize operations and achieve digital transformation with the end users and with the industries. So in summary, we operate within a very highly collaborative system that it is instrumental for us in achieving a significant impact in our markets and ultimately into our world, right? To be more efficient and be more sustainable.
Yeah, that's spot on. Especially a company like Schneider Electric that has put such a high priority on programs such as sustainability. And also, I know working with your company, the amount of time you spend, let's say, like with the open process automation, the OPAF group, and obviously pushing a lot of those open concepts, and especially in the area of process automation. And I know that's something that is really a key part of your solutions. And what it really does is, with all the systems integrators that you work with as part of your Alliance Partner program, it kind of makes sure that they remain in kind of a state-of-the-art position, that they have access to kind of the latest in technologies that they can use. But again, with the objective to solve the customer's problems, because again, what they're trying to solve is less unscheduled downtime rather than, AI, for example. They use AI as a tool to accomplish unscheduled to minimize unscheduled downtime. Which takes me a little bit back to some of the things, Luke, when you were talking about some of your solutions, and you're in a situation where we have this ever new changing workforce. And many people within the workforce have never even been in manufacturing before, and even though they may be technologically savvy and have maybe a lot of comfort using devices, whether it be tablets and smartphones and other handhelds, but this really requires a lot of upskilling of this new and ever-changing workforce. So really, what are you doing, you and your company, as far as to kind of help upskill these new employees, and really, which really helps meet these new technological demands?
Yeah, great question. And Craig, you mentioned it earlier a bit. I mean, people, the AI and all the, the information we get hit with, it's certainly coming and it's a part of our future, but people are still as important as they've ever been. And we see an aging workforce in a lot of industries, right? Like you said, how do we train younger folks or even existing folks on newer technologies? And I think the one thing that I've seen over my career in this industry, I've spent the last 15 years focused in automation, and the last 10 years here at EA. And even within that small window, the pace at which technology changes are being made is noticeable. It's probably happened long before that 15-year period, but it just continues the pace, the acceleration of those changes. I mean, major software releases would happen multiple years apart. Now we're seeing those happen multiple times within a given year. Features being added onto hardware because, again, the competitive landscape is now a lot broader than 3 or 4 key market leaders. It's 10 or 15 or 20 people that are now providing or vying for the same customer dollars. So we're just seeing that pace be really, really, really fast. And so in terms of like helping our customers understand this, I mean, I think the best advice to some degree I could give them, whereas maybe in the past they've been able to self-execute or have an internal group of 3 or 4 or 5 or however many people focused within automation, maintaining and keeping their system, like you said, state of the art. I think that's just a much more difficult task to do in-house now. I think you need to understand, like Avril said, that the partner ecosystem within the products, like Schneider Electric, what they have available, and find folks like us or others who are in it every day. It's something that we can invest time and dollars towards training and staying on top of. I mean, it's hard for us. Don't get me wrong. Even with our full-time attention, it's hard for us to keep up with. But I think knowing where to have a partner who can help you in those heavier lifts then also help train your staff on the specific instances or specific technology that makes its way into your facility or your floor or your enterprise. So I think that's the one thing I would say is again, rely on that partner network, leverage their investment in training and expertise, and help use that within your organization so that you guys, you as a group can not have to go invest those same dollars or try to keep up with that same market pace.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like you said about how quick life cycles are becoming. Going from where it would be sometimes years to sometimes months. I mean, it's almost impossible for the end users and OEMs today to be able to. By the time a new update is done, they've missed one or two updates themselves because they just haven't had a chance to catch up. And I think that's really where the systems integrator can play a key role. And I know one of the things that I want to talk to Avril about is the fact that, with your alliance partner programs, what it does is you have to really be in a position to kind of help, elevate those conversations of leveraging a lot of these, keeping up with all this latest technology, with your customers, because you really have to help your customers, connect the dots, shall we say, to secure a lot of new business opportunities. So what are some of the things you're doing with your alliance partners, to really kind of help them, capture that new business in this very rapid, ever-changing world?
Sure. Well, for certain, everything is changing, so our program and our platforms are also changing. So last year, we relaunched our System Integrator Alliance Partner program under the name Energize. So everyone in Schneider is now energized with this program. This platform is designed to empower our partners to tackle new technologies challenges. So we integrated new specializations and new technology in this program. So we have 6-segment specialization in water, wastewater, mining, CPG, transportation, that is new, energies and chemicals, and 4 technology specialization, robotics, industrial software, drives, and next generation of automation under the name of EcoStructure Automation Expert, that is a brand of Schneider Electric, plus 30 competency specializations. So this is a very full curriculum for our system integrators. And let me tell you, I mean, it is not only the technology part, which is, of course, very important, but also the business practices and how to develop the right value proposition for every customer. That is really important. So we are incorporating not only the technology, but also the support on the business practices and the best practices sharing as well. Just to give you an example, we are including in our program sustainability domain. That is also new. I believe that Schneider is very well recognized because of its sustainability program and achievements we have had during the past years. And we want to that these best practices can be also shared through this program. So we are supporting our system integrators to understand much better and educate them on how to address the Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. And certainly, we are providing also with tangible business cases, technology. So we are helping to connect the dots about how manufacturing operation can be improved, can be automated as well, but how to connect with those important KPIs. And then is when you become much more and more relevant to the end user, to the customers, because you are speaking the same language. And certainly, sustainability KPIs, it's a focus for everyone, right? It is not only something that is good to have, it's something that you need. And certainly there are financial aspects of the sustainability that are there. And certainly there is a lot of value behind that. So the expertise, of course, combined with the right conversations, right alignment to the customer's strategy, certainly it's the outcome of this will be to have new revenue streams and certainly to have a sustainable growth. That is what we are looking for with our system integrators and in general to our alliance partner.
Yeah, you know why, Avril, we think that's so important at ARC is because At one time with sustainability, ESG, net zero initiatives, a lot of companies looked at it as this was just going to be an extra burden or cost. I mean, the right thing to do, politically and socially, but something that really is not going to be positive to the bottom line. However, one of the things I've noticed, certainly from the solutions that you've been delivering, is greater sustainability equals greater productivity, equals greater, higher KPIs. That is not as much as being the right thing to do for the planet, it's also the right thing to do for the bottom line. And we're starting to really see that translate through. And one of the things you're doing is you're connecting the dots with your systems integrators, is helping them tell that story. And that's why I think that's so important, because get past the fact this is not something we need to do. It's something we want to do because it has top line effects, positive bottom line effects, as well as it's certainly the thing to do to try to save the planet for the future. So I think that's all great stuff.
Craig, if I could just chime in real quick, just with a comment on that, because I think you're exactly right. I think those types of objectives always look at, again, how do we reduce or change something we're doing that might be a hard change for us? It might be the right thing to do. One of the simplest ways that we see sustainability options that are cost savings right out of the gate is, or at least proposes that, is how do we make sure the infrastructure we're putting in lives up to its lifespan, right? One of the things that we see that is anti-sustainable is people coming back and spending dollars time and time again on automation before it should need to be spent, right? We're throwing away product, or we're kicking out product off our factory floor that should last another 5 or 10 years if it was built properly and engineered properly and installed properly. So I think one of the parts that ties in with that partner network is, how do we have a long-term approach to making sure we put infrastructure in that's going to live, 15, 20 years. I mean, it is possible. Someone that's listening to this might say there's no way anything's going to last, reliably 20 years, or it should. A lot of these components, industrial components, are meant to do that. So from a sustainability standpoint, a long-term approach or viewpoint, I think, is a sustainable way to look at it, rather than for the next 2 or 3 years, and then we're going to revisit this and probably have to spend dollars on this same problem again. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there as maybe a different way to look at sustainability, that customers may say, oh, well, that we can certainly save money. We just have to change our time horizon, or how we look at things, our point of view.
Yeah, and why, Luke, that's so important is, there was a time in this industry, because the technology used to move so slow. I can tell you, as someone who's been in the industry for many, many years, I still go to plants today, and I sometimes still see some older quantums and premiums, and even some 984s. Some of the legacy Schneider Electric PLCs and controllers that sometimes go back to the 1980s and 90s and are still running well today. But the challenge became is, how do you really leverage a world where we're talking about cloud and edge and AI, and keep that old infrastructure? And I think what we're trying to see today is really that blend of how do we make sure that we can lengthen certainly the life cycle of the product, but being able to update the technology. And a lot of that is being done because now what you're doing is you have the ability to make the updates to the software, so you can kind of stretch the product life cycle of the hardware, in a longer fashion, and again keep it more sustainable, but at the same time take advantage of the latest technologies by having that ability to kind of to make sure that the software, the embedded software, is able to be upgraded. So you're taking a product, instead of using 20 to 30-year-old technology, you're able to do state-of-the-art technology with a lot of the with a longer life-based hardware. And,
yeah, you're exactly right. And Schneider never leaves anybody out to dry. I mean, that's what I've loved about being a partner with them, is they have ways to keep those systems up and running, even while they're still viable, again, until their end of life. And then again, even if you've built it properly, those transition phases are minimal because they have a good process for doing that. So yeah, you're spot on. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can honestly say, even once in a while, I'll stumble into some old CP10 and the IA series that I used to work with back in the days when I worked for the Foxborough Company in the 1980s. So So some of those, it's amazing how some of those products still go forward. But now I think, again, the strategy is how do we make sure that we're able to keep them update and keep them state of the art, but maybe lengthen the life of the hardware so at the same time we're being more sustainable, and at the same time but not compromising on taking advantage of the technology. As we begin to wrap up here, I'm going to ask each of you a question. I'll start off with Luke, but what do you see coming in the next, in the OT world, for example, and what do you think the ecosystem should be aware of to adopt? So, as a systems integrator, how would you answer that question?
Yeah, I think there are two really fun challenges that we're kind of right in the midst of. I don't even think they're ahead of us. I think we're there, and we're just seeing adoption and interest peak and rise every day. And one of those is data-driven decision making. So I think people understand they have software. You recently just spoke about all the different cutting-edge software that we can start to layer on top of some of the physical assets that collects data, that stores data, that can analyze and interpret data much more quickly. And I think we're in this era and driving into this era of data-driven decision making. It's no longer a 10 or 20-year plant operator or floor operator making a gut decision or having to be on shift so that the plant runs optimally. We can optimize continually every day with a lot of these softwares driving data right to the decision-making level. So that's one. The other one that's really, really interesting, and I think it's really interesting because we see a ton of things being brought by manufacturers. But when I look at universal automation in this conglomerate of folks that are pushing for more flexibility, they don't want to be pigeonholed to a specific hardware line or product. I mean, we saw during COVID, massive delays, supply chain delays from lots of vendors. It was very difficult to keep, factories moving and get those products delivered. And so I think that only heightened the awareness of, customers want flexibility. They want to be able to buy a product, plug it into a system, and continue operating, not while letting go of standards or consistency or good documentation, right? We don't just want to have a hodgepodge system built of lots of different bolt-on products. That's not what we're saying in universal automation. But what I love about this, I'll say this initiative, is it's driven by customers. It's the voice of the customer. And when you look at universalautomation.org and who's driving it, it's really the heavy hitters are from the end user space. And then there's partners like, again, Schneider, who are a big piece of that. And how do we bring what that customer base is asking for, that flexibility in a product and software based system? And so that's where EAE comes in, EcoStruxure Automation Expert, which is Schneider's kind of answer to this universal automation challenge and opportunity, is to say, how can we provide tools that are flexible between hardwares and allow our customers to source or use hardware from different manufacturers from time to time, or because they like this type of drive or they like this type of controller or this type of edge device? And how do we provide them the software tools to build automation around that goal? So I really think both of those, the data-driven decision-making opportunity is huge. And I think the universal automation idea with EAE, honestly, is really one of the most exciting things we've seen from automation in a long time.
And to your point earlier about, obviously lengthening the life cycle, that's really a classic technology that really helps you decouple the software from hardware. So again, keeping state-of-the-art software, maybe with longer life cycle hardware. So that really plays really well to that point. And now, as a final question, Avril, what do you see from the Schneider Electric perspective, coming next in the OT world, and how should what do you think the ecosystem should be aware of and as they're thinking in terms of adoption?
Well, certainly there are several things coming. We are very, very excited about these new open standards, and certainly Schneider Electric. We are the forefront of this movement with Universal Automation Organization. So we are building on our solutions on this new standard with 61499 standard, which defines how to design distributed applications using plug and produce software components. The beauty of this, and Luke also mentioned this, is they are totally independent from the hardware. So it's going to be much more easier for the customers, for the end users, to deploy their digital transformation projects first, and the second one to escalate, which is a big problem when you have these proof of concepts are successful, but then how to escalate. You have a lot of legacy systems there. You also mentioned that. So the way that the digital transformation can actually happen is through these open standards. There is no other way that we have a significant impact here. And the good thing is that it is not a standard driven by a specific company. It's a neutral organization, and it's in the benefit of the industry, since in the benefit of in general for everyone, for the markets. And see, if the digital transformation happens, that means that we will be more efficient, and that means that we will be able to tackle the sustainability problems that we are having right now. So there are a lot of specific, let's say, solutions inside the Schneider Electric that are being reshaped to take these new standards. So new things will come very, very, very soon. In our program, in our Alliance Partner program, we have different categories of our partners. So it is mandatory right now for our certified and masters to come up with projects with EAE, EcoStructure Automation Expert, who embraced this new standard, this open standard. And that is the way we are like driving this change internally in Schneider, but also externally with our customers. We have several webinars, education webinars, just to let the market know what is universal automation and what are the benefits of this. So we are like an ambassadors of this new standard, because we believed that this is the future, right? So we are working a lot on building new capabilities for our system integrators and partners, so they can face the new challenges that are coming. And certainly we need to be prepared now. So we believe that in the coming years, a lot of new things will happen. And the thing here, the most important thing here is that the pace and how rapidly this will happen, if we are not acting right now, if we are not training ourselves right now, if we are not open to try new things right now with like these new standards, certainly we are losing time, and the change will happen, and we will not be prepared. So we are taking the necessary, let's say, measures in our programs, working with the whole ecosystem to make sure that we are embracing the right technology, the right ecosystem, and doing the right actions to make it happen, right? For decades, I believe that the OT world has had to navigate the challenges of proprietary system and vendor locks in, right? So we are fighting against this. We are really convinced that these open standards will help to do that, to transform the industry in a more sustainable way. That is what we want.
No, I couldn't agree more. And what it really does, Averill, is it really democratizes the process, because by having open standards, it really does not limit people based on their existing installed base. They can move forward with best of breed, best of technology, based on what they need to solve problems, not really based on doing things today based on what they've done in the past for legacy. So we're certainly at ARC certainly can't embrace open standards enough. And as we wrap up here, I want to please thank Luke Stevenson, who's the Business Operations Vice President at Enterprise Automation, and Averill Zamora, who's the Global Commercial Director, Systems Integrators and Strategic Programs at Schneider Electric. I want to thank you both so much for being here today. It was a great discussion. And this is Craig Resnick coming to you from the ARC Advisory Group. I want to thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.